Hey everybody, I want to talk about macros today. So I apologize for sounding my voice. I'm just kind of finishing up with a little bit of throat problem. So I might be drinking some water from time to time and hopefully not coughing too often. So I want to give a very basic outlay of macros and kind of explain how important they are. So there are three primary macronutrients: proteins, carbs, and fats. Pretty much all food is made up on some resemblance of those macros. Most things do have a crossover. They're not all protein, not carbs, all carbs, not all fats. They're usually a little bit extra, with minor exceptions, such as like sometimes very lean proteins have next to no fat in them. So let's start off by talking about how important each nutrient is to the body. So take a second here and tell me, do you know what a body would do on a fat-free diet? So you may not know, but so on a fat-free diet, the body can manage pretty decently. Your hormones may not be the best, and your recovery might be a little bit low because fats are huge factors with hormone balancing and recovery, but the body can survive. Do you know what the body does on a carb-free diet? Same thing. It can manage, you might go into ketosis depending, and your energy levels might be a little bit weird at first. Your body will start naturally producing ketones, which are a different energy source to help break down fats as energy. Not necessarily always the fats in your body, but a lot of times also the fats that you're eating as well. That's why ketosis diets tend to be very high in fat. Another thing is that depending on how much protein you're taking in, the body can go through a process called gluconeogenesis and start converting that protein you're eating into carbohydrates the body will then feed off of, which is why a lot of people that aren't doing a ketosis or lazy ketosis, that aren't tracking how much protein they're in, they may not ever hit ketosis properly if they're using like test strips, because their body will show they're taking in carbs, but they're more from the protein they're eating more than anything else. Finally, do you know what the body does without any protein in the diet? It's not good. Given enough time, the body will break down and start to die. So that's kind of one of the main things I want to really focus on is how important protein is. Like all three of those macronutrients are very important, but protein is really the most important one we need. And you got to think, if protein's that important just to survive, how much do you think we really need? And the answer may surprise you. I'll go over this better in a later one, but usually for optimal health, and whether you're fit or inactive or just trying to live a good lifestyle, take your body weight times by about 0.8 up to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. A couple places will say the same thing about using kilograms instead, but for most of the studies that I've been reading, it's up to that 0.8 to 1 gram a pound per body weight. Up to past that has diminishing returns. Later on I'll do a video about the importance of protein by itself, and we'll get into that a bit more in depth. But so those are your three main macronutrients. Now, not everybody realizes that, but each of those macros have its own caloric breakdown. So every gram of protein has 4 calories in it. Every gram of carbs has 4 calories in it. Every gram of fat has 9 calories in it. So I want you to really take that into concept for how calorically dense fats can really be. And so I'm not talking about like fatty foods, but even things like, people always think about using like olive oil in their cooking. So I'm not saying nothing against olive oil, but like 1 tablespoon of olive oil has about 14 calories. So times 14 by 9, that's over 100 calories for a single tablespoon of olive oil. And a lot of people just like pour it on their frying pans. And whether you're cooking off or not, that food is absorbing part of those fats. Now, I'm not going to demonize any of the three macros. I'm a firm believer in a balanced diet. For the most part, every single client I have is on a very balanced diet with proteins, fats, and carbs, all with proper numbers. You can get where you're going utilizing a proper balanced diet with those carbohydrates, fats, and protein. I'm a firm believer most people should be on a balanced diet. Later on, I will do some more videos talking about specific diet types of that and why they work and whatnot. But overall, when it comes to weight loss, weight gain, being healthy, a lot of it comes to caloric breakdown and calories in versus calories out. But it's more than just those calories. That macronutrient breakdown has a huge factor when it comes to how the body handles certain types of nutrients and how the body responds. For instance, protein works naturally with a hormone called ghrelin. It helps with your hunger cues and stuff like that. So if you're on a restrictive diet trying to lose weight, keeping your protein intake at a good level will actually help curb your cravings and stop you from having cravings for sugar, just a random snacking and things like that. Like, honestly, a good balanced diet is the way to go. Most of my clients, I give them unless they have like a severe reason for needing something different, they're taking in protein, they're taking in carbs, they're taking in fats. Most have more than one fruit serving in a day. I like a nice balanced diet. I want to see meat, protein, and veg on a plate. There's nothing wrong with like potatoes, rice, anything like that. Like carbs are good for you, protein's good for you, fat's good for you. It's really hard I don't like any trainer that will demonize any type of food. It's not so much foods that are bad for you unless of course you have like, let's say, an intolerance or food sensitivity or even allergy itself. Then those foods may not be the best for what you're trying to achieve. But there's none of those macronutrients are should be demonized. The body works well with a very balanced diet as long as the overall caloric intake it matches what your goals are. So I just wanted to really kind of post about that a little bit, have you guys think about it. Good quality diet, good food, and granted, yeah, the healthier the food is, the more like homemade and less processed it is, the better you're probably going to feel on it because there's less things kind of added into it. We don't need a lot of preservatives. I make all my food myself. Like my chicken is just fresh chicken I buy, throw on the barbecue. Cook my rice myself. I don't like the 1 minute box stuff. I like the good quality stuff in my rice cooker. I like eating good quality, healthy food that I make myself. And I find that's a big thing. There are a lot of meal prep companies out there that are making those healthy meals for you. But if you're buying a lot of like processed food, lunch meat, stuff like that, you may not find that you're feeling as good on it. It's just partially how the body digests it and breaks it down. If the body isn't good at breaking down those sources of it, you won't get as much nutrients from it. So I'm going to go into this a bit later on. I want to talk about a couple years ago, I had a food sensitivity test done. And so I'll go over better results later on. But so one of the big things I found was my body does not properly digest egg whites. Now, egg whites are a very common diet staple in most bodybuilders. And I was having digestive issues. I went and saw a naturopath and had the food study done. If I had tried even like a FODMAP diet, I would never take on egg whites because they classify as being like very easy in digestion. But my body was severely agitated by them. And when your body's agitated, that means your stomach line is agitated, which means you're not digesting other foods properly as well. When I finally learned to cut out egg whites, I found I was less bloated, I felt better, my energy improved, and I was probably getting a lot more nutrients from the other food I was eating. So even though all food is good, there are certain foods that if your body doesn't handle it well, that's all there is to it. But for the most part, a good, proper, healthy, balanced diet is a huge factor for you. And at the end of the day, if you're never sure, pay attention to how your stomach feels and honestly your bowel movements. It tells you a big thing about that. But I'm getting a little off topic from what I wanted to start with right now. So basic idea is just the importance of macronutrients, what they are. If you have more questions, let me know. I'm happy to go into any of these topics further in depth. Just let me know what you want to hear about. You guys have a great day. And I'm going to go back to my old sign off. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Take care, guys. Oh, remember to like and subscribe. I got to work on that part. Take care.